I was forwarded a video where a sister from Brazil was discussing racism and what's been going on in Brazil as a long-standing history. And I want you to watch this short clip, but we need to get into talking about Brazil because the struggle in Brazil is never really revealed.
Ask of understanding racism in Brazil, it's imperative to know our historical context. You know, the project of whitening of the population and in the process of industrialization of Brazil that were not created ways to include the black population. Brazil was the last country in America to end slavery. So I think it's very important to understand and to discuss racism as a system of oppression and how this country was founded in a myth, in the racial democracy myth. So as Kabengele Munanga is an important thinker, she's an African thinker, but he's a professor in Brazil, and he says that the racism in Brazil is a perfect crime. So I think it's important to understand how this debate about racism is imperative in Brazil. It's not possible anymore to do any kind of discussions without to discuss racism as a structure, but at the same time, how the Brazilian government, the Brazilian state create an idea that you are a mixed people, that you live together, that there's no racism in Brazil. So I think that's the problem that make Brazilian context a perfect crime.
Now, with the transatlantic slave trade, you know, many of us that came from the continent of Africa was dispersed. You know, some of us went to the Caribbean, some of us came here, what you call the United States. Many of us went to Central America and also South America as well. Now, if you look at Brazil, Brazil was a country that had more African slaves than the United States actually had. And they actually built up just as much as we built the United States. They built Brazil. Now, in the process of that, our brothers and sisters in Brazil were slaves a lot longer than we were. They didn't get free until 1888. And we were so-called free in 1865, but it went from so-called freedom to the black codes, convict lease program, you know, our history. But our brothers and sisters in Brazil, 1888, they were set free from slavery, no reparations, no financial help at all for the newly freed ex-slaves in the area of Brazil. Now, in that time period, they have practiced the exact same white supremacy that is practiced all over the world against African people. Now, if you trace things back and what's going on even today in Brazil, just a little numbers here. Now, 54% of the population is black in Brazil. They claim they are a racial democracy, but on average, black Brazilians earn 57% less than white Brazilians. Same thing, right? They make up 64% of the prison population, but their Congress is 71% white. Doesn't make sense, right? Black people are 54% of the population, but they are nowhere near the representation in their Congress. 71% white. Brazil also practiced their own version of Jim Crow themselves in the area of the early 1900s, or a little after 1910. They had segregation from society. They barred black people from entering the country or even deeming them mentally defective. It was justified discrimination against black people. And also, at one point in time, Brazil outlawed capoeira. Now, if you know anything about capoeira, people think it comes from Brazil. No, it actually came from Angola. Capoeira is a African martial art. You know, because you look at the propaganda, they'll try to teach you that all martial arts come from Asians. No, Africans have their own martial arts too. And you on those plantations, when the brothers and sisters would revolt, they would be whipping the slave masters behind with capoeira. They didn't know what they was doing. Either they dancing, they fighting, but so they had to outlaw it, and it didn't become legal again to do it in Brazil until the 1950s. Also, they had the exact same things like the black codes, which all these vagrancy laws, where if a black person is unemployed or a black person is homeless, they would just lock them up. They also practice racial whitening, and they still want to practice that to this day. There is a great desire for Caucasian male sperm donors for Brazil. That's what they want. They want blonde hair, blue-eyed sperm donors. And I put a picture up just to back up what I'm saying here, because they want to get rid of the black population. They want to basically be like Argentina, because Argentina, if you know the history of that, our brothers and sisters were slaves there as well. And after slavery, they purposely wanted to copy what the United States have done against black people. So they took it a step further. They put those brothers and sisters to fight in different wars and put them on the front line so they could die first. The black people, they put them in the area where yellow fever was high. So a lot of black people died from yellow fever. And when brothers and sisters caught on what was going on, a lot of them left the country. And the ones that were left, they practiced racial whitening. That was a big thing. So they would make a black person be with a white person, have a child, which they would call at the time period a mulatto. Then they'd make that mulatto kid have a baby with another white person. That kid comes out. And then by the time you do it one more time, you see no dark-skinned black people like me at all. You see nothing but white people. This is why Argentina is 97% white. That was done on purpose. Same thing in Brazil. They want to whiten up Brazil. That's why they imported 2.1 million European migrants so they can whiten up the population. It is a conclave of white supremacy. And I'm going to say over and over and over, white supremacy is an ideology. It is not a color. Anyone can practice white supremacy. Someone dark as me can practice white supremacy. It doesn't matter. So they always have a hatred for the black man and black woman. This is exactly what it is. We are their natural enemy. I tell you this. This is why you can't discuss nothing with them when they on this particular evil mission they choose to be on. Now, the people in Brazil, our brothers and sisters, Africa is their home too. Just as much as we talk about African Americans making trips to the motherland, they should do that. We all came from the same area. And maybe if some of those brothers and sisters get connected, with the motherland and visit and see it, they may not want to return either. They may not even want to deal with that. Now you have some black folks, and I'm going to talk about that just real quick. Here in America, when they hear me talking about that, say we shouldn't abandon anything. We should fight. You don't fight nothing here. You fight nothing. You don't even want to do anything that's simple. We asked you to not even watch the NFL the way they treated Colin Kaepernick. You can't even do that. We asked you to support black-owned businesses. You can't even do that. Some things that you don't have to even swing your hand for. You don't have to no marching, no doing nothing. Fighting, just something you could easily do. We could tell you to hold your money, boycott. You can't do that. So don't tell me nothing about no fighting when the most thing you're going to do is just march in the street and say Black Lives Matter and no justice, no peace, and all of the things that you say. You're not doing anything. So don't tell me nothing about no fighting. The thing is about black folks in America, all you do is talk. You're not doing nothing. So don't tell me nothing about that. Because you gonna wish you thought like me at one point in time when it happens. But to these brothers and sisters in Brazil, they actually have a better situation than us. They're 54% of the population. We're not 54% of the U.S. population. So they actually have more advantage on their side to actually overthrow the way they're treated and to have some sort of form of equality. They should be running the government. They should be running everything. They should not be subjected to white supremacy. So if they choose to stand up against that, and many of them are, as we'll put some pictures up, they're fighting for their blackness all the time, and they should. But what I say to our brothers and sisters in Brazil, those of you that really can articulate the struggle over there, and those of you who speak English, of course, because I don't really speak fluent Spanish, you definitely could, talk with us here. Let us know what's going on with the brothers and sisters down there. We haven't forgot about you at all. You definitely part of Diaspora. You are our cousins, in the slave trade. So we definitely want to know your story because you kind of tucked away and nobody knows anything what's going on. We have a great, vibrant culture in Brazil. Everything, that's there. A lot of the things come from Africa. We know this. And we don't want to just hear about Brazil where African-American men are going down there for women. Who cares about that? We want to talk about what the struggle is, what's going on, how can our people be liberated and free worldwide throughout the diaspora. And, you know, people like Amara La Negra, shout out to her, they brought the conversation to the forefront about how Afro-Latinos are treated. And we, you know, definitely have to continue that conversation and get that out in the forefront. But you should expose that, put the things on camera when you treated bad, you know, just get it translated, whatever, for people throughout the world that may not understand your language. But it's time for you to be free too. It's time for you to be liberated. There's no reason in 2018 for you, especially you being 54% of the population, to allow white supremacists to treat you any kind of way. And I don't care that white supremacists don't have white skin like someone from the Caucasus Mountains would be from. No, it don't matter. You should not allow no one to treat you wrong. It's just that simple. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this particular story. Our brothers in Brazil and sisters, you know, let us know. We definitely here for you. You know, we support you. And, you know, we can't be free until all our brothers and sisters are free throughout the world.